What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the 2025 Honda Civic Si. This one is finished in the urban gray. MSRP is $31,500. Big shout out to Flo Honda of Statesville for providing the new Si for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Honda Civic Si, you're going to find a 1.5 liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. This makes 200 horsepower with 192 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to a 6-speed manual as well as front-wheel drive. Curb weight is around 2,952 pounds. You can expect 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. It runs on a 12.4 gallon fuel tank, and you're looking at 27 miles per gallon in the city with 37 out on the highway. The overall length is 184 inches with wheelbase at 107.7. Width is 70.9 and height is 55.5 inches. Moving on to the exterior styling with the 2025 Civic Si, looks really nice and sporty, especially in this color combination. We also have a really nice set of headlights. You can see the darked out housing along with the daytime running light and turn signal up above. You have some gloss black trim surrounding that, and then more black trim for the upper grille. Honda badge right in the center with the Si logo finished in red. And then down below we just have some plastic mesh, and you can see a nice opening for the intercooler and a black front splitter. There's some more black for this front end to give it a sporty design, and then a nice trim piece on the farthest side, as well as some body molding to give it an aggressive corner in that front bumper. Really sporty design, nothing too crazy comparing it to a typical Civic Sport, so it's not drastically different. However, you still have a nice sporty design for the overall exterior, some sharp lines in the hood as well, and then sharp body lines throughout the side profile. At the side, you're going to get a set of matte black wheels. They are 18-inch diameter, a nice split 5-spoke. You can see a sharp body line throughout the front fender, and then a side skirt finished in the black with more sharp body lines. You're gonna get black on the mirrors along with body color door handles, and then sharp lines throughout the side. Civic Si is gonna be a sedan, as you can tell. They have a pretty nice side profile, good design with all the black around the windows, and I like how the third window has a cool dip to it as well. Up above, we have a shark fin antenna, and then a sunroof up above that. For the rear, you're going to get a nice set of red taillights with some halogen bulbs throughout it at the Si logo, and I really like the lip-mounted spoiler. Nice design with some cool cuts to it, pretty nice shape overall. We have the Honda and Civic logo as well. One of your reflectors, exhaust tips on the farthest corners, and then some body color in the lower center of the rear bumper. So overall, it's definitely a nice sporty design over the typical Civic, and it looks really good and comes together well. Taking a look at the key fob, you're going to get lock, unlock, the trunk release, as well as the Honda badge on the back. If I go ahead and lock the car and keep the key in my pocket, you can just grab the door handle. It'll automatically unlock, and we can take a look at the interior. The Si is going to have a pretty nice two-tone interior with the black and red. Taking a look at the door panel, you have just some soft touch plastics up above, gloss black leading right to the release handle, and then the whole insert has this really nice fabric with the red color. Got some fabric and contrast stitching for your armrest. And then all of your controls right down here with a trunk release button. A little bit of storage down below, and these seats are all manual controls. So you have the up and down, the recline lever, of course the bar to slide it forwards and back. And then I really like these bolsters. They have a pretty good design to them. Obviously not quite as large as a Type R, but nice and sporty over the typical Civic. Got the Si badge up there as well, single piece backs, and then a really nice black leather round steering wheel with contrast red stitching and your Honda logo. And then now inside the 2025 Honda Civic Si, keep my foot on the clutch and brake. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, you're going to see those LED shift lights up above, and you can see the tach on the left with speedometer on the right. If I scroll using the dials that are on the steering wheel, you can configure a little bit of the left side of the screen as well as the right side of the screen. On the right side, you are going to get quite a lot of cool information like the boost gauge, and then you can continue down for a G-force meter, oil life, and a few more things with safety and trip information as well. Now, if we take a look at the drive modes down here, you can toggle this up and down. We have a sport, normal, as well as an individual. So basically, you're just going to get a little bit different coloring for the gauge cluster for these different drive modes. And then for the individual mode, if we hit customize, you can see a few things for the engine, the steering, the engine sound, as well as the gauges. So pretty nice to see how you can adjust a little bit throughout this car. You can also see the fuel on the right and engine temperature on the left side. On the steering wheel, you are going to get a few Bluetooth and audio controls, and then cruise control settings are on the right with the lane keeping and steering intervention. Stock on the right side is for all the windshield wipers, and then we have turn signals over on the left side. We have our air vent with some red trim. You have down below your interior lighting, traction control icon, some soft touch material up across the dashboard. And then I really like how you have that silver mesh throughout all the air vents with the red striping to it. So it definitely gives it a pretty cool look. For 2025, this does have an updated system over 2024. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you have all the Google integration to it. So a really nice and snappy touchscreen, really HD graphics as well. Radio icon as well. You have the physical volume control, a back button, as well as the home icon. So really nice overall. If we go ahead, put it into reverse, you have a really good HD graphics for the backup camera with a few different views that you're able to toggle. And then underneath all that, you are going to get physical climate controls. So we have the fan speed right in the center. You have temperature on the left side, modes on the right, air conditioning, and then a few different toggles. There are heated seats for the SI, which is a great touch to see. You can see some plugs down below, extra storage space, and then I really like the shift knob. You can see the red on it, really cool looking leather design. We have the auto start stop, the brake hold, park and brake as well, and then just some silver trim. Armrest in the center has more of the contrast stitching with extra storage and 2 cup holders, and then the glove box on the far right side has a pretty large bucket. One last look at the interior. Definitely looks like the Honda Civics in this generation. Basically a bit more sporty than a Sport and a bit less sporty than a Type R, which makes a lot of sense. Pretty good view around with a black headliner and a manual sunshade for the sunroof up above. Then you're also going to get all your dome lights up there as well, and a simple basic mirror. Taking a look at the back seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, the rear door panel is finished off pretty simple. You just have a harder material plastic all throughout it, and then more plastic in the center, fabric on the armrest, and then just black fabric seats with the red stitching just in a few spots. This can seat 3 people. In the center, you can pull this down and you're going to get a nice armrest along with 2 cup holders, and then the only other amenities are a little bit of storage behind that passenger seat. Sitting into the back seat now at 5'11", I do sit here pretty good. Now this is the sedan versus the hatchback that is available in other trim levels, but honestly my head just barely doesn't touch the ceiling, just my hair is touching it a little bit. With the driver's seat at my height, 5'11", I still have plenty of legroom and footroom. The seat actually is pretty comfortable. It's supported me pretty well as well. So for a smaller compact car, if you're looking for this as a family car, you're gonna put grown-ups in the back, you're not gonna see any issues with that. No air vents or plugs, so not really the best as far as amenities go, but you do have some pretty good size back here. Taking a look at the trunk space now, there's going to be a button right beneath the Honda badge. Pressing that, we can manually open that up, and you're going to get a pretty good amount of storage space all in back with a very low load floor. If we lift open the carpeted flooring, you are going to get an inflator kit rather than a spare tire, so at least you have a little bit of things to help you. And then we have these pull pads you can go ahead and pull, and then push the seats down. With them folded down, you can see how much extra storage space you're going to get in the back of a Civic Si sedan. Seats are going to fold down nice and flat too. You are going to get these metal hooks that are going to be in the way a little bit, but you have a huge opening into the trunk to make this sedan a very practical car for people as well as cargo space. All right, setting off now in the Civic Si on a fun little twisty road. Let's feel it out. Seems pretty smooth to drive. The shifter does have some weight to it, especially the actual shifter. You kind of have to push it through. It does feel notchy, but also just there's some weight to it, which is a little interesting feeling. Clutch pedal, super forgiving, super lightweight. Has nice rev matching too. And a really smooth suspension. It's really confident to drive, just kind of casually going through some turns. It's absorbing the bumps really nicely. I'm in the individual mode that I set up. Decent power, it's not crazy fast, only 200 horsepower, and obviously it's a little wet out right now. But you have some good turbo power to just kind of make this feel like a smooth car. Again, it's not a fast feeling car at all, but it seems zippy and peppy and just kind of fun to drive on a budget. The seats are also really comfortable to sit in, and it's pretty quiet and composed. It feels like a more solid version than the typical Honda Civic. So I feel like there are some nice refinements to this that make it a bit of a step up over just a normal Civic Sport. Throttle takes a little getting used to. It's a little more on the touchy side than I was expecting. It definitely doesn't rev that quick. So, you know, if you want like more performance, more, I don't know, power out of the engine, the Type R is definitely a significantly different vehicle, which I will be doing a full comparison with my Type R. but just kind of normal driving. It's kind of fun to get used to. Not bad, not bad. You know, if you really want to get the power out of it, you're gonna have to be redlining it, but kind of mid-shifting, not too bad for what it is. Handling feels pretty good. There is some body roll, but not really as much as I was expecting. So it's got a semi-sport tuned chassis to where it's definitely a step up from a normal Civic. Just kind of has that feeling to it. But if you're wanting something that is a fine daily, but also just gives you a little bit extra performance, just a tad, you know, the SI seems to have a pretty well-rounded aspect for the price point. It's nothing crazy exciting to drive, I would say, but it's a nice step up from a normal Civic, and just kind of offers a good blend. Normal things too, visibility as you would expect, really good in a car like this, easy to see all around with no complaints, and it's a pretty forgiving manual to use this as a daily. Definitely more pep than the non-turbo Civics. So in the Honda Civic Si, feeling it out a little bit. It's definitely not as fast as I would expect. Obviously, I'm not like redlining it going crazy on a brand new engine. However, it's peppy enough. It's a smooth power delivery. The turbo is tiny, which is kind of funny to see how big it is. It's like this big, but it is a noticeable improvement over the standard Civic Sport. So you got that extra power. The manual is very easy and forgiving. It's a little interesting to drive. Just, I don't know, there's like a weighted feeling to it that just makes it not as buttery smooth as I would like it. But again, this is a budget car, so it's a budget sporty car, so obviously it's not going to be as precision as more expensive cars. I wouldn't say there's anything really that blows my mind about this car. You know, I know there's a lot of people who love the Civic Si. It's a very popular vehicle. People love this car in general. It seems like just a nice sporty version of a Honda Civic. Nothing really above and beyond, but again, it's not above and beyond in price point, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But keeping it at this level of a car to see what you get for the money, you are getting a very well-equipped car, which is nice to see. I mean, you're getting the technology, you're getting a smooth, solid ride. It doesn't feel like a cheap car at the end of the day. Honda Civic, super basic car in general. It's kind of the definition of a point A to point B car. And yeah, this one feels like it's nicely weighted, has some substantial aspects to it that make it feel like a nice car at the end of the day. Touch points are good with all the leather accents to it, and these sporty cloth seats, they're comfortable. I mean, they cradle my legs very well. I mean, I could sit here for days, and the bolsters actually are doing something. So it's a good blend of sport as well as comfort. It's also a Honda Civic at the end of the day, so it's really easy to maneuver, tight turning circle. I don't know, really nothing to complain about for what it is. I just say the only thing that I was expecting maybe a bit more excitement to it. You know, when you push it a little bit harder, yeah, that power does come alive to where it's peppy. I mean, it's definitely not a sluggish car. Not a fast car, but not a sluggish car either. And I do like how the suspension is super forgiving. You know, this could be your first point into a performance car. Obviously, it's no big boy performance car with serious power or serious capabilities, but if you're wanting something that you can easily daily drive, easily afford, easily maintain, I mean, this would be such an easy car to own at the end of the day, but has that extra fun factor to where you got a manual, you have some sporty characteristics and good handling to where you could not only do the day-to-day, even the family stuff with the back seats, but if you want to do an autocross with it or go to the mountains and have a more spirited drive, this is going to be a car that you can do that, and you're going to be pretty confident doing it, and it'll be fun. It's a good way to get into the manual, get into the performance level without breaking the bank, and I feel like that's where the Civic Si is placed. It's a good entry point to get into something a bit more sporty than your typical boring sedan. So I feel like Honda has done a good job giving you a mid-level sporty car. Obviously the Type R is above this, gives you a whole new level of fun factor. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun car overall. Now, as far as the drive modes go, when I toggle it back into normal, realistically, I don't really feel much of a difference. The steering does feel nice and light in this mode. And then really when I bump it into the sport mode, the steering just gets a little bit more heavy. The throttle is just a bit more touchy. I do hear just a tad of like the engine sounds, the fake engine sounds that they're probably piping in through the speakers. So it gives you a little bit of that just to wake up the car a little bit. And then looking over and everything, pretty good view around. All right, so when you push it a little bit more into the throttle, you can feel the boost. So it's peppy, not bad at all. And I like how it's not a back-breaking car either. Some of these cars that compete with this, might get a little too harsh for what they're really supposed to be. So I feel like Honda has given you something that you're not gonna sacrifice to get the extra bit of performance. It's a good, well-rounded option. Not the most luxurious interior, but honestly, I feel like it's a pretty adequate interior for the money and for a modern car. The tech all works great. Everything looks pretty good. Even the plastics and fabrics feel pretty nice for the money. And it's got a good vibe to it just to give you that hint of sport without going crazy. Not really luxury vibes in here at all, but definitely gives you a sporty aspect to a pretty basic car at the end of the day. And it does give you something pretty fun to drive. Can't really complain too much with it, but I think if you're looking for something on a budget, this is definitely a way to get into something that has a bit more fun factor than a typical car. So that is it for the 2025 Honda Civic Si. Big shout out to Flo Honda of Statesville for providing this new Si for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.